live. Welcome back to Back on Track. I'm Carrie Gard, and when I'm not hosting this, I run MKG Marketing, where we help B2B tech teams get found in search and AI answers, the Google results and the ChatGPT, plus paid to fill the gaps. So I spend most of my days in the exact stuff we're about to get into. My guest today is someone a lot of you already know, Serra, 17 plus years in B2B marketing across SaaS, agencies, and international outsourcing. She leads growth marketing at her company, and she's the creator of the host of Women in B2B Marketing. So she runs the mic as well as runs the strategy. Jane, I'm so glad we finally made this happen. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you on and off the mic.
On and off. Yes. I love behind the scenes conversations, um,
Yes.
which we're going to get into. I know that the LinkedIn profile has a bit of what we will touch on, but actually, Jane and I had a really awesome conversation before this that we just need to unpack live for y'all. So we're going to get into it. Before we do that, though, a little word association game. So, fun fact, I looked at our YouTube today and our shorts, our best performing shorts, and it's these little games that I play in the beginning of the show actually are the top performers. So I was
Wow.
like,
People just
I
want
haven't,
fun.
I know, and I haven't done these
Yeah.
in a while. And I was like, well, guess who's bringing those back? So we're gonna do uh, a little word association. So you say the first thing that pops into your
Oh
head, not
gosh.
overthinking
Okay.
it. Okay. I'm
Okay.
just going to
I'll
give
try.
you a single word and you're going to tell me what it means to you, not necessarily a definition, just what it means to you and the work that you do.
Okay.
Okay. Paid ads.
Surprisingly love again.
Ooh.
Yes.
AI slop.
Oh, noise. And we will get into that later too. Yeah. Just I love AI. I'm actually pumped about a bunch of things we're building at memoryBlue with AI, but there's ways to use it that help you and help your audience. And there's ways to use it that feel manipulative to try to get an audience that doesn't really help anyone.
So true. Oh, stay tuned, folks.
Yeah.
WordPress.
I'm I still love WordPress. I think it has a lot of evolving to do, similar to Salesforce, right? Like we're all just in it and use it. I have not made the conversion over to Webflow yet, though I hear great things. It's just such a headache to switch platforms.
It is.
Um, so mixed is my
Mixed.
response to WordPress. Yeah,
Interesting. First party data.
love. And I think there's a lot that can be used to focus on this. I think we'll talk a little about this too, but first party data and first party just general creating of things and collecting and sharing results of things, all of that is what helps you stand out amongst the AI slop and helps you, of course, collect data that helps you make decisions.
So true. Attribution.
Necessary evil. We can't
Ah,
attribute everything, but we have to directionally show things and then explain ourselves. So necessary evil that we will never really figure out in marketing.
oh, I love
Except for
that.
with ads, yeah.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. We were just talking about this before we turned on the mics because I just posted about us hiring at memoryBlue a few positions. But as soon as you say you're hiring on LinkedIn, you get flooded with
Yeah,
DMs and comments and
all the
stuff, which is,
things.
great for reach, but not great for noise, similar to AI slop, where like I'm getting a ton of people coming in, but they're not actually fits for the role. So this is one thing that I'm not a fan of on LinkedIn.
Best practice.
Best practice. Overused term, but also really important. Like when you're even like it's kind of the thing we hate creating as marketers for content, but you kind of have to. And when we search for things, you still kind of look it up if you're looking for a
Sure.
starting point. Um, but I am a big fan of marketing owning pipeline. So
Oh,
the kind of a mindset shift of what pipeline is. To me, pipeline doesn't begin with opportunity. Pipeline begins with proper MQLs, not downloads, but actual hand raisers, and then everything past there. And marketing should own the whole journey, of course, with sales as it comes to the bottom.
they should merge and then mix. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love
Yes.
it. Yes, merge and mix. All right, let's get into it because we have a lot to get through, as you can see from that teaser.
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about paid because that was one of the first words. You were launching paid for the first time ever, right as everyone on LinkedIn was declaring paid dead. Why did
Yes.
you zig when everybody else zagged?
Oh, because that's exactly what we have to do to stay relevant.
It's
But
true.
that's in general. But the reason I went and am now investing in paid media, particularly search and LinkedIn, because that's where our audience is. So again, not a best practice here because you need to look where your audience is, and that's where you should invest in paid and test the waters. Um, but I'll say a few things like one, I see it works when you have somebody running it who knows what they're doing. It cannot be like me. I am not an ads expert. I'm not a paid media expert or any of these channels. I know enough, but knowing enough sometimes can hinder you even
Yes.
more because you get it started, you launch it. You're like, why isn't anything happening? Oh, it's because you didn't put all of these filters on. You're not targeting your audience. You're not excluding these countries. You're not adding these negative keywords. Like, there's so many tiny little details that make the biggest impact on ROI where
Yeah.
you're just wasting money. You're throwing money away if you're doing it versus if you bring somebody in who knows what they're doing. And we are working with like the king of paid media. I'm not even going to say his name, but he's the best if you want to DM me. But so he knows everything and we're just learning a ton from him ourselves. And we instantly saw ROI. So where I love to bring in paid media is when you're building all of your channels. So at memoryBlue, marketing is relatively new, only about a year or so we've been marketing, even though we've been around for 20 plus years. But marketing is new. So we're setting up a ton of new channels right now. And while we're setting that up, because it takes time, we could turn on ads a lot faster. And so
Mhm.
that was able to close a gap to help us hit our pipeline targets while we're building all of these other channels. So big advocate when done right.
When done right. Let's talk about paid search for a minute because
Yeah.
that's shifting underneath us drastically. Are you seeing a change in terms of since I know you just launched not too long ago, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's been, I feel like every month there's new data around, is this going to be a thing?
Yeah. It's interesting. For now, it still is. And I
Okay.
wonder, we still have a lot of competition because we're in a competitive market, but
Mhm.
I wonder if competition will start to dwindle because people are thinking this and they might reallocate their budget, which hopefully they do. And then we
You could
we
just stay and
outperform.
take over.
Yeah. But I think right now I don't know how we would look into this, but I love to see more research on this versus my one singular example. But we're still seeing it thrive on our side. Yes, branded and also for our key high intent campaigns. So we're seeing it work really well. My hypothesis, without data backing this up, is that people kind of came full circle with Google. So searching things, everyone started going to Claude, ChatGPT, et cetera. But now the Google results are still so like they're good and they give you
Mhm.
AI results and your answers now, not just the links that I think people are back to searching on Google and Claude and ChatGPT. But I
Is a
think the
mix.
habit of Google is so entrenched in us for like a decade or so, that people kind of came back to it. So we're still seeing it perform really well. A caveat to that, we still very much have to invest in LLMs and AEO and making sure that we're optimizing for search there. So it's for us, I see it working. We'll see if it stops at one point. We keep an eye on it, but for
Yeah.
now, it's still doing well for us, despite I mean, we do have less organic traffic, right? Like everyone's seeing the dip in
Mhm.
organic traffic. And I think that's because answers are right there. So you want to make sure
They
your
are.
answer shows up, and ads are another way to get your answer right below the AI answer that Google shares.
Yeah, it's true. We are seeing, depending on the client and the situation, but um, we are seeing that the cost per acquisition is definitely climbing slowly but surely as impression volumes start to shrink. So
Mm,
I do think for one of my clients, so I'm a fractional CMO, but then my team on the MKG side runs the paid ads and does all of our SEO, AEO, GEO. And for one of our clients, we are seeing that while we've moved a bulk of the budget into performance max,
yeah.
by keeping on brand and just the very bottom of the funnel targeted keywords that are going to convert, right? People who are like, okay, I do need this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go find the websites that will give it to me, that we're seeing
Yes.
success on. So very much have narrowed the field down to
Yes.
more of the
That's a great call
transactional
out.
keywords for search
Yes.
than those broader terms. That's where we're
Same for
also,
us. Yeah, we're
yeah.
seeing the same thing. Because you're right. Like a decade ago, when I was running paid search, it was mostly, not mostly, but we had it mixed up from top of funnel,
Mhm.
middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, right? We would do, let's get them to read this blog post and point them to this webinar recording. We
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. I don't think the value is there, but high
Mhm.
intent and brand are the go tos,
Brand,
and
yes.
competitor as well.
Competitors, interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
And
I have seen competitor do really well when you have some really good messaging of like, why you? Yeah.
yeah. And to look into, so something that's great, because we noticed that a couple of our competitors were bidding on our term and bidding on our actual brand name, which, fun fact, you're not technically allowed to do. There's trademarked, and you can argue and dispute this, but Google's fun, and it takes a while to get that taken down. But something to keep in mind is you can argue that your competitors can't use your actual term in their
Correct.
ads,
Correct.
but you can also do the play dirty too. So it depends where you stand in the market. And I
Sure.
mean, I'm very much of the mindset of, okay, we want to have competitor campaigns, but we're not going to trash our competitors.
Yeah. It's
So we
just why
just
we're
have
different.
fun with the ads there. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I do love a good. I think there's definitely going to be more competitor. So brand competitor and then your transactional keywords is definitely still places to hang when it comes to paid search. Couldn't agree
Yes.
more. Um, I think you just answered my second question, but I'm going to ask it just in case we missed anything. You're four
Sure.
months in. What's actually happening and what has surprised you from a paid perspective?
Ooh. I think from a paid perspective, so I was surprised that we were seeing so much traction right away. I knew that I wanted this to be a plug, but as soon as we turned this on, we started to see quality coming in, and being able to fine tune it was just mind blowing. Like the power, this is why I'm such an advocate of bringing in an expert and somebody who knows these ins and outs and new things that are released and what not to do. Because what he's been able to do for us and the layers he's been able to add on so that we're very targeted in our ads has just been beautiful. Because I've had bad experiences too,
Mhm.
right? With where I've worked with people and it's been hard to bring in more than top of funnel, like really just bringing
Yeah.
in a bunch of noise. But this is just bringing in really good quality again when you know what you're doing. So pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised.
Amazing. Amazing. What do you say to the paid is dead crowd now that you've run it?
Okay, watch me eat my words in the future, but I feel like nothing is ever really dead. And everything depends in the world of marketing, right? Everything, it depends on who your audience is. It depends on how you're using it. And everything, in my opinion, comes down to, at the end of the day, are you providing value? Are you helping people? Like super simple, basic human
Mhm.
connection, right? Like, are you helping people and how are you getting in front of them? That's really, at the end of the day, what works. So if you're using your paid media and you have someone who knows what they're doing to get in front of those right people and you're helping them at the end of the day, the magic combination, nothing will ever be dead.
It's true. Where's your audience? What do they need? How do you show up for them? Yeah.
Hmm.
It sounds so stupid simple, but this actually
Yeah.
leads into the next topic really beautifully in terms of first party content.
Yeah.
Um, you're interviewing your own target accounts and turning that
Yeah.
into content.
Yes.
Yeah,
And when we first spoke about this, I think it was like pre-launch, like we hadn't even launched
yeah.
it yet. Now it's like a couple months out there. So we created a media arm of memoryBlue. And this, so far, we have a media site, a publication that is called The Revenue Wire. And the whole goal, just like sipping my own champagne here, like I'm practicing what I'm preaching, is creating value, right? Like we're interviewing our target audience and all of their peers. So our clients, our partners, prospects. We're interviewing them and getting their thoughts on things, sort of like we're doing here, right? Like where you talk to somebody and you get their actual insight, their stories, and you share that. And that is great for SEO, for AEO, for building connections with these people. And at the end of the day, providing value instead of AI slop and just create an article that's all about XYZ that's just regurgitating what everybody already knows in your target audience. People want to hear from people they know, people they admire, people they want to know, and hear what they're saying and what's actually working in various different facets and covering the topics that are top of mind for them. So we're creating that content on our media site, and it's great for building content, sales enablement, ABX plays, and it's great for SEO. So yeah, I'm so excited for this. We're actually going to launch a podcast, an extension of our media arm, with also called the Revenue Wire. So we'll be launching that really soon too.
That's awesome. How are you tying this to the brand? Because even I struggle with it, right? As soon as I open up the show, the first thing I mention is MKG. And I try and like make sure people understand that Back on Track is tied to the brand.
Yeah.
But I don't ever I don't generally bring clients on, although I'm starting to consider it. So how are you tying it back to the brand so that you do show up in helping from an organic standpoint and from like, and if you are doing it in an ABM standpoint, like it's got to talk about you as the brand, right, from your customer's perspective. But I feel like that's such a hurdle to like really jump over. Yeah. And
yes,
get
because you
clients
don't want to
involved.
be salesy.
Right.
Yeah. It's a fine line because you're at the end of the day, you want to sell your services, right? But you also don't want to feel pushy and you want to help people. So the balance is real. I would say what we do with the Revenue Wire is the Revenue Wire is its own thing. It's a separate domain, and it's its own site. It's hosted, and we have a team that helps us create this content, like real journalists who build this out and do the interviews. So at the very bottom in the footer, we have memoryBlue linked, like hosted by memoryBlue. And then we have some links throughout that post where relevant and where it makes sense. We'll link back. And during outreach or when I'll introduce people to be interviewed, or if our editorial team reaches out, they'll say this is on behalf of memoryBlue. And we're doing more sharing on LinkedIn of the articles themselves. So there's a light balance here of, okay, this is from memoryBlue, but we're not trying to pitch it. We're more so trying to establish this tie into it. But what's most important is that we're starting this connection with you and building this relationship. And then we can always work with our team internally to identify, oh, okay, like this person talked about XYZ. Is there something we can help them with? And our sales team can reach out from there too. So there's a loose tie. We have it to build content awareness. It's a big awareness play for memoryBlue. Yeah, exactly. And then where it's relevant, we establish the relationship and build from there. So basically the same as the big principle in marketing, where they think of memoryBlue when and if they ever need our services.
That's the name of the game. Yes, you got to build brand. Exactly. You know, first party data is the unlock for AI answers. Why do you think people are struggling to get it, and how are you getting it?
Yeah. So first party, it's interesting. Like the content play here is one that we just discussed. And then first party data, because there's all of these terms that we come up with in marketing are so funny. There's the zero party data, first party data, second party data. Yeah, there's so much.
Oh, I've only heard first party data, so I didn't even.
I'll try to correct me if I'm wrong, audience here, because it's been a while since I talked about this. But zero party, if I remember correctly, zero party data is when somebody actually submits to you. So they're submitting, this is my information, entering a survey, filling out a form, that goes to you. So they are giving it to you right away. You have their information. And then first party data is what you are seeing on your website. So the activity that they take and what actions they take on their website. Call me out if I have these two reversed. But and the first party, so both super, super valuable, right? You need to be able to
Right.
see both because you can get signals based on what pages somebody is on, if they're an existing client, a prospect, and you can see what company they're at. Or now with tools like User Gems and Vector, RB2B, you can sometimes see the person. So you gather that information where they are, and that's beautiful for marketing
Yeah.
and for
So
sales.
helpful.
But for marketers, when you can gather survey data or insight, like what are their current challenges, or if they're signing up for a webinar and you ask one of the questions, what are you looking forward to most to learning in this session? Or what is your question for the host? And you get that information, music to our ears, because we can then answer that live, make sure we
Yes.
address that. And then you have that for the future. Like what you can in aggregate look at this and identify what content you should be creating. So when you
Qualitative.
can get
So
anything
good.
directly from your audience, it's just beautiful for direction.
Yes, especially the qualitative data. I'm having this conversation left, right, and center, especially now. And to our attribution sort of point earlier of like the necessary evil that it is of probably never going to fix it, but also still need to have it. It's kind of a conundrum. But I
Yeah.
do believe that, and I had it with Ann Gote, I had it with Scott Wasserman last week, that
Mm.
that field on any form, or even if sales can ask them, right? How did you find us? And let them like tell you
Yes.
their journey, right? Like that
My favorite.
qualitative data. So that would be considered like third party data then.
Well, if
First
they're
party?
no,
Second
that would
party?
be first party, or sorry, that would be
Okay.
zero party because if they're telling you that
Per
themselves.
form. Sure.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
through a form. But a whole nother layer here with AI that I'm so excited about is being able to pull that information from sales conversations, because hopefully the sales team is asking that in the call. It's a great way to start a conversation, hear their path, or if they know somebody, or what
Mhm.
sites they pay attention to, or influencers they listen to and respect. So gathering that information. I don't know if that would be first party or second party because you're collecting it from a phone call. That one gets hairy. But that can fill in a lot of gaps. Because when you have that as a field, I personally don't have it as mandatory. I don't want to block people from submitting
Sure.
if they don't feel like sharing that. So we get probably 35% of people actually submitting, how did you hear about us? And it has to be I will die on this hill. It has to be an open text field, not a
Yes.
drop down. When there's a
Agree.
drop down, people will select the first thing 9 out of 10 times, and it gives you
Mhm.
zero data. And you'll
Yep.
miss out on things that are off of your drop down that you weren't
Mhm.
even aware of, and you still won't be if there's a drop down. So open box, but still you get like 35%. So if you're scraping phone calls and filling that in from there, you can get so much more data and information. So that's a huge way to use AI in a positive way, in my opinion.
Yeah, Anne Gote actually said that people would literally write in their prompts like, "Oh, yeah, I went to ChatGPT and here's what I was
Yes.
looking for." Like, oh, but like the information they give is so powerful that you would never get. You'd know that they came from ChatGPT, but like you don't know what they asked for unless you try
Yeah.
and corroborate across platforms, which don't get me started on that. That could
Yeah.
be a whole other
Still a
show.
minefield. Yeah.
Ugh.
I love that though. You're so right. Like especially if you market to marketers,
Mhm.
we give so much information like, oh, well, I talked to this person about this, and then I looked at this prompt, and yeah, copy paste. It's awesome. It's great to market to marketers.
Oh, see, I wondered if it was going to be because we work primarily in B2B, more on the tech side with like security buyers and CTOs and developers, which is a whole different beast
Yeah.
and not necessarily an easy one. But I always thought that marketers would be the hardest to market to because just we know too much.
Ooh. Yeah.
But
That's
but
funny
it
because
sounds like
it probably depends, right, on what kind of day they're having. But I feel like marketing to marketers, because we know, we're like, oh, let me help you. Like, this is where I found you. This
I
is where
love
you should
that.
be.
I love that. I'm going to keep more of an open mind towards that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
uh, so you're building all this content, you have this wonderful media outlet. Are you doing any sort of research or understanding in terms of how that might be showing up in answer engines or LLMs, or is it still kind of early for that?
In between, we are seeing this is not fully connected yet, right? Our the team that we're working with for the editorial is going to be using one of these tools. I think they're actually building their own version of like an AI analysis, LLM, AEO analysis, and they're pulling that in. So they'll be able to track this much more granularly once that's live, I think this week. But on the not direct side, what we're seeing is since we launched this program, we are seeing an uptick month over month for the AEO that we're getting from the how did you hear about us field. We're seeing a lot more people just continuously say Claude or Gemini, ChatGPT. So that's been really great to see, but we don't have a specific tie. The only things we're really doing, or the two main things we're doing for AEO, is this media arm and the G2 reviews. So that's what I'm attributing it to, the uptick. But I do need more analytics. So if anyone has ways to actually track this, yeah.
I would look at your branded terms as well to see if
Ah,
you're getting some uptick of more people searching for you, because you're also doing paid, and paid contributes to that as
yeah.
well. So I
Yep.
wonder if you're just getting a little bit of more brand recognition and if your branded terms are on the rise.
Yeah. Great
Check that.
call.
Check that
Yeah.
out. So you got a 20-year-old site with a ton of inbound and you want to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I
how are
know.
you thinking about it?
So when we chose an agency, and if you go to memoryblue.com, you'll see why we want to redo the site. It's not great. It doesn't, like, we are very modern, very um fun. Like, we have a great group of people that are passionate and really smart and care about our clients and each other. And that doesn't come across on the site. So if you go to the site, it's
Mhm.
okay. If you have any feedback, let me know before it's not mine. We're blowing it up. It's also a pain in the back end for us to change anything. So if we want to
Mhm.
add a new page or change something on a page, we have to go through our agency right now to do that. We can't just go in and build, which is just a personal nightmare for me
Yeah,
because I'll want to build
you
something
need
and usually
access.
I'd be able to build it like same day and it would be live. So we are blowing up the site. It is terrifying because our website, despite appearances, is our biggest pipeline driver. We have a ton, like, everybody's coming in inbound and filling out our horrific form. So we're still getting a ton of traffic, a ton of conversions, most likely because we have built a brand. So again, those recommendations of word of mouth, people come to us, they trust us, they convert, despite the crazy long form and horrible site. But so I'm terrified of that changing. So when we chose an agency to redo our website, we made sure we got somebody who is focused on SEO and AEO through the process. So we're doing it very, very carefully of mapping everything and how are we moving this over. We debated if we were going to go with Webflow and move off of WordPress. So there were a lot of questions and we did it really strategically. So hopefully everything goes well because we're doing it so carefully. But yeah, talk to me in a month because it'll go live end of July. So we'll see how this goes.
Most of the time, I'm finding a lot of people are hitting that sort of, I'm calling it WordPress. I don't know if it is WordPress that you're using, but it is sort of that
It
WordPress
is right
wall.
now.
Um,
Got it.
where the plugins haven't been updated, or it's through an agency and they don't have access, or so
Yeah,
slow, or it's
exactly.
using like one of those WYSIWYG engines that
Yeah,
isn't actually intuitive. And so there's just like a lot of they're all hitting sort of this wall of needing to do it, but it is really scary. I have to say, I on one of my own clients over a year and a half ago, I had the same problem. I was so
yeah,
scared to like rip
yeah,
off the band-aid because
yeah,
they were doing okay until they weren't. Like I was like, I hit that wall of I can't update the website anymore because WordPress is so slow, and the agency I was using weren't. It's not that they weren't moving fast enough. It's just that they needed so much hand holding, and we were
yeah,
starting to like it was starting to not become intuitive, and I really needed to redo the architecture. And I didn't
exactly.
do it fast enough, and so everything went off a cliff in like February of last year. And then I
Yeah,
basically like in a month like panic built a website. Um, I got like an MVP up and like
yeah,
everything tanked, and then but I rebuilt, and now like it's doing. as of August of last year. So like I had a rough like 4 or 5 months of
Okay.
like
Yep.
powering through to get those new pages up and to get the architecture settled in. And then they had their best month ever. And organic absolutely
Amazing.
attributed to that. So it will feel
Yay.
scary. You will
Yeah.
have a moment where
We
everything
will
will
have a
dip.
dip.
It will
Yeah.
be okay because you'll be able to move so much faster to get out in front of it and it'll pay
Yes.
off.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for the therapy session because it's exactly you read my mind. Like I'm expecting a dip. Understand it will happen. Although I did once launch a site and we didn't have a dip. I don't know the miracle of what happened there, but it instantly started going up. But it was a really shitty situation to begin with. Like the site was not performing well. So maybe only
So
way to go
yeah,
was up.
almost up. Yeah. I have one
Ours
of
we're
those too.
seeing yeah, but ours we're seeing, like organic is coming down, right? So, but
Mhm.
I don't know, like that's a trend everybody is reporting right now with LLM. So organic is going down. Now is the time, like I want to be able to add more pages
Yep.
regularly and again,
Answer
high
questions.
value pages and change. We have so many, the architecture of how the site was built is just really hard for us to navigate, let alone any kind of crawlers. They're
Yeah,
just blocked and the page load is horrible. So I'm hopeful it'll be similar to your experience and
definitely.
hopefully less of a dip or downtime, but good to prep for.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And you're being so
in
much more careful. Like I was in panic mode, right? Like it went
the
off a cliff and then I was like, I should have done this months ago. And then I went into like single developer mode activation and
yeah,
I just sort of like did it with the help of Cursor and AI, which was still kind of new at the time. It wasn't really
yeah,
as intuitive and great as it is now, but I knew I had done websites enough that I with the help of AI could make it happen in a month. So I felt a bigger dip because I literally ripped off a band-aid versus what
yeah,
you're doing, which is so smart of like being really intentional behind the scenes, making sure that you're mapping anything that you can't map, you're going to have a lovely redirect plan for like yeah, you got this.
yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Speak it into being.
Um, let's talk about the echo chamber that we do
Yeah.
find ourselves in. We love LinkedIn. However, I don't know about you, but I'm finding that I'm seeing the same stuff over and over and over again. And,
Yeah.
we're all nodding along. There's no silver bullet. Positioning is everything. But the founders who control the budget and the timelines aren't in that echo chamber and room with us. So, how do you bridge the gap between everything we're saying as marketers to the
Yeah.
founders who are still not quite there yet?
Yeah. It's actually a great transition from talking about the website because one example, right, is we know as marketers, when you launch a new site, there is going to be a dip. So we expect that, but guaranteed it's not like everybody on the board is not going to anticipate that. So we have to share that that will happen and why. Hopefully, A, part of it is just trusting your experience, right? And B, data. So data solves everything, just like revenue. When
Sure.
you're doing it properly and you can showcase how you're doing it, how you're pulling it, and how you're analyzing it. But if you show something like, okay, this is a research report from this reputable brand, or these are 3 examples from reputable brands, or this is what we are seeing, like your own data, of course, where possible, makes sense. But if you don't have it yet and it's something you want to push or like this is why we need to invest in brand, if you have external reputable sources for data that you can showcase, like research that is very recent and relevant, that speaks volumes because it's like, okay, I'm making this decision and this is why. So it's a combination of hopefully you have the trust of the board and the exec team. Hopefully that's why they hired you, but also supporting with data and giving your reasoning in a very succinct way.
Straight to the point. Skip to the
Yes.
end, as my husband likes to say to me. I'm not
Yes, because
long-winded. I never.
that's another AI slop thing, right? That we're
Oh
seeing
my
where like
gosh.
I talk about this all the time, and I'm sure this is another nodding heads around in our echo
Mhm.
chamber. But I love Claude. I love Claude so much, and I was guilty of this myself, so I'll be the first to admit that. But because it's so fun to use for research and analysis, people go in and create 50-page, 60-page decks and share it with you. And instead, what I would love for people to do instead of sharing that 40, 50, 60 page deck, how about you give me, ask, like put in the prompt, okay, now make this one page, give me the TLDR, and make a page that has action items. Like from this, here's the key points, and this is what we're doing about it. Because nobody is going to read through a 60-page deck. And most of the time, you just had fun researching it and you didn't take the time to analyze and create an action plan. So two
Yeah.
important things.
It feels interesting when you're pitching to the executive level or to the board, because there has to be this balancing act between showing the strategic side from a very high level of like what you're trying to accomplish, but also making it tactical and like something you can tangible at the
Yes.
same time. That's how do you stay sort of in the executive summary, so to speak, but bring it to life? It sounds like data is a big part of that. Is there anything
Yeah.
else that contributes to making it feel like tangible in a way without getting too into the weeds?
Yeah, I think I'm a very big visual person, so I tend to use visuals as well in presenting. So I like to have it like one, again, keep it as simple and clean and limited as possible, succinct. Like let's say one visual, one chart that shows, okay, this is where we are now, this is where we want to go, hopefully up and to the right. And then this is how we're getting there. This is what to expect. Or we expect this dip in traffic, but we should be coming up here. Like if we have one visual and
Hmm.
then the actual takeaways, that's key. But another layer, again, to earn and maintain, hopefully that respect and trust is not everything is going to go right and going to go exactly according to your plan all the time. Life doesn't work that way. So if you own up to it, like, look, we are behind in this channel right now. We recognize that. This is why we think that could be. These are the possible reasons. This is what we're doing to address that. So, like, if we're expecting a dip in our traffic when we launch the new site, how are we going to make up for that in pipeline? Like, what are we going to launch? Are we going to invest more in our paid media
Hmm.
for two
Good ideas.
months to make up for that? Like, just as long as you have the plan and you share very succinctly the
Hmm.
visual, the action items, the plan, and admit when something doesn't go as planned and a plan to go around it and what you're doing because of that, you have the trust, you're sharing exactly what they need to hear, because it can't all be roses all the time. Then no one's going to believe you or trust you.
That slides perfectly into my final round of questioning here about the Slinky Detangler.
Ah, yes.
Tell us where did the name come from and what does it mean? I love it, by the way.
So funny. So I am the mom of a 6-year-old right now. And I added this. I'm a big fan of like making your LinkedIn very much you and speaking to your personality. You can tell from this convo, I'm very casual. I tell it like it is, but hopefully kindly. I like to have transparent conversations. Like all of this, I try to share on my LinkedIn. And one of the things I added, I was literally detangling slinkies for my son when he was probably 4 or 5 when I added this to my LinkedIn profile. Because I was like, this took me a long time to figure out. Slinkies, if you don't know, like those toys that kids play with that like stretch out. I don't know how, but they constantly get knotted. I don't know what kids
Hmm.
do with them, but they get crazy knotted. And sometimes they get bent out of place. It's horrible.
Hmm. It's the
But
worst.
if you're really careful with it, the key to detangling a slinky is slowly, methodically, and
Hmm.
one ring at a time. Like you're literally doing
Yeah,
this twisting motion,
right
and
from
then
the
you get it
middle.
out. Yes.
That,
So once I realized that, I was like, okay, I am an expert slinky detangler. And somebody pointed out to me, I meant it legit. Like I can detangle slinkies because I am a mom of a toddler, a 5-year old. But then somebody DM'd me and like, I love the slinky detangler analogy. Like that's exactly what marketing is like. I was like, oh, that is so true. I love that. I wasn't even intending for it to be that, but yes, that works both ways. But it is like marketing. You just have to
slow,
be really
methodical.
thoughtful, right? Like take the
Yes.
time to look at it and one step at a time, iterate. Like it's exactly like
Yeah.
marketing, untangling the chaos of the go to market journey.
Yeah. it's usually coming in after founders threw spaghetti up against the wall, and you got to
Yeah.
figure out what on earth they just did
Oh
and
my
why they were
God.
doing that.
The
And
founders are the toddlers.
they totally are. They totally make the yes. Oh my gosh.
Ah,
We love you,
we could keep
founders.
going with
You're
this
up. But
analogy.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
I
parenting
love
as
my
a
baby.
whole. Yeah. I mean, parenting as a whole in terms of like how you manage people and how you manage your toddler are
Yes.
not always that different.
Dissimilar. It's so true. So true.
Oh gosh, Jade, I could talk to you all day. I'm gonna ask one last question,
Yeah.
maybe two.
Yes.
One,
Okay.
they tie together. What's one vanity metric you've personally killed, and what did you replace it with?
Okay. There's probably a bunch. So this will be interesting to see what people think about this. The opposite of killed, I brought back MQLs. I
Interesting.
love MQLs, but what I killed was the really shitty definition of an MQL. Like to me, an MQL is not a webinar attendee, is not somebody who downloaded something. And so an MQL for me is a hand raiser. They are asking to talk to sales. That's where MQL starts for me. And
Not an
then it
SQL.
not an SQL. So for me, it's hand raiser MQL. SAL is a meeting is booked. SQL is an opportunity is opened. And
Okay.
having this clean definition aligns marketing with sales so much better because we're not handing them crap, right? Like here's
Yep.
somebody who attended a webinar but didn't even know it was from memoryBlue and has no idea who we are. So it's or didn't even attend. Those are still great. But to me, that's not an MQL. That's a contact, somebody who attended our webinar.
A
I
lead.
don't need to bug them. I don't need to have sales hound them. They just
Yep.
have this signal. If they come back to our website, that's what we want to try to drive them to do, right? More awareness ads, things like that. But that's not something we would hand to sales.
Yep.
So I think I killed the definition of MQL, but
I
I
agree with
made
that.
MQLs like matter.
Yeah, because MQLs to me meant that you had people who were throwing signals around showing up for your brand, but they weren't sales ready yet. Where
Yeah, that's
you've
how a
moved
lot of
them
people use it.
down, yeah, where
Hmm.
you've now moved them down the funnel because it just
Yes.
so happens that that's how it is these days, right? People,
Yeah.
it used to be that by the time they showed up to sales, they made up their mind. They had three brands. They knew which one they kind of wanted to go with, but they were sort of betting it to make sure, or procurement told
Yeah.
them that they had to have more than one person. They had to go vet other
Yep.
companies. Um,
Hmm.
but now that's happening before they even hit the website. Like I've moved
Yes.
all of my conversions up on every single page. Like the conversion, the form is now the second thing you see. Like you have the
So true.
hero of here we are and what we do, and then the form
Yeah.
convert because that's really why
Yep.
you're here. You already know
Yeah.
this stuff. Get to it.
Yeah. And a
Um,
lot of PLG brands, right? Like all PLG brands should have like the email capture in the header, right? Because it's
mhm.
instantly you can sign in and check
Get
out the
going.
platform. So yeah, fully with you there. I think this I'm realizing talking through this out loud is that I think I did this so that like everybody was moving away from MQLs and like MQLs are dead, another dead thing, but that's killing marketing. Like the what's called a marketing qualified lead, you're then saying is shit. How about you keep the term
Mm,
and make it high value? Like, because
yes.
then you see marketing is high value. I'm aligned with you, sales. We want pipeline, we want revenue. I'm not focused on I am focused on the downloads and whatever we have for signals, but that's what it is. It's signals. It is not the start of our pipeline. So there, yeah,
So
making marketing shine.
you as marketing are saying this is a qualified lead from my standpoint because they filled in a form that said that they want to talk to sales.
Exactly.
And
They
then
are asking
sales
to
gets to
do something.
decide, and then sales gets to decide whether have you seen when you talk about conversion rates between, from the website to that form, obviously there's going to be a bit of a there, I don't know, maybe not because downloads are not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but from the MQL to the SAL, is there, and I know you've been only at memoryBlue for a few months, but even before your other
Yeah.
job, like, are you seeing a better conversion rate between those two now?
Oh, for sure. Yes. Because there's always going to be some junk that comes in, right? And we just won't
Sure.
consider that. We'll remove that from the MQL count. But that's inevitable. But if you're driving your awareness and your brand properly and people are coming to your site, then the right people are coming to your site, then that you're automatically going to have a higher volume of people that are hand raisers, I call them, coming in asking to talk to sales that are in your market, in your ICP. So we definitely see a high conversion from that to SALs, like our meetings booked, for sure. Way higher than if we did previously call MQLs before I came on, were downloads or webinar attendees. And we had huge top of funnel, but then there was nothing really converting and nothing. So it's kind of two disconnected systems where MQLs, and this is why there was the death that like MQLs are
Hmm.
dead because of how it was labeled. And this is outside of memory, like I see this often. So if marketing is saying, oh, we have this great top of funnel, we have tons of MQLs, but nothing's closing over here. Like nothing's becoming an SAL and SQL, nothing's closing. They're two separate systems. So by redefining MQLs as hand raisers, I connected it again. So we're all looking at the same key data.
Amazing. I never thought to
It's what
do
we should
that.
all
That
be
is,
doing.
we should all
Like
be
there's still
doing it.
signals. The
It
very, very top
is.
still matters. Like we need to drive more of this,
And we need to
but
label it
we
as
don't need to.
marketing is saying that this is somebody, we've qualified them. This is not spam. This is not junk. This is somebody saying they're using the right words in terms of what they're looking for, in terms of the problem we solve. This is a good lead. Let's go book that meeting. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm doing that right now with one of my own clients, but I'm not calling it MQL when technically it is, we're just calling it a qualified lead, but it is from marketing. We did a thing. We should
Yeah.
have credit.
So funny. Yeah.
Jade, this was awesome. I could talk to you all day. And
Yes.
selfishly, I'm walking away with a list of things to go try. I can't. I'm bringing back the MQL,
Love
y'all. There
it.
was a show I
Yeah.
went on about a year and a half ago where I was one of those people where I was like, oh my gosh, please stop sending these leads to
Yes.
sales. They are not ready. The MQL is
Yes.
dead. And I have converted over. We are going to bring back the
Yes.
MQL in a much more
Yay.
intentional
Just
way.
redefine it. Don't kill the
Yes.
only thing with our name on it.
Right? So true. For everyone
So
listening,
funny.
go follow Jane and subscribe to Women in B2B Marketing. She's having the
Yes.
conversations the rest of us need to hear. So go over there and make it happen. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. This will go out in clips over the next couple of weeks, so you'll be able to relive the conversation on LinkedIn and YouTube and get to hang out with Jane once again. But if you'd like to connect with her, Jane, LinkedIn, best place to.
Yes. I live on LinkedIn. So it's actually even better to DM me on LinkedIn than to email me because my inbox is a jungle. So, yes, see you on LinkedIn. And so good to chat with you, Carrie. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, so good to chat with you. Thank you so much. This episode is brought to you by MKG Marketing, where we help you to be tech brands, get found in answer engines and LLMs, as well as use paid to build that brand. We are here for you. Give us a shout. Thank you all so much. We'll be here next week, and until then, Ala Pushoy.